morning, my dear students. Today we are continuing with our History Chapter 3 Nazism and the Rise of Hitler. Students, in our previous lecture, we were studied about the Nazi worldview, establishment of racial states, and racial utopia. Now, today I will explain you youth in Nazi Germany, the Nazi cult of motherhood, and the art of propaganda. Now, students, youth in Nazi Germany. Hitler was financially interested, sorry, Hitler was fanatically interested in the youth of the country. He felt that a strong Nazi society could be established only by teaching children's Nazi ideology. This required a control over the child both inside and outside school. Now, what happened in school under Nazism? All schools were cleansed and purified. This meant that teachers who were Jewish or seen as politically unreliable were dismissed. Children were first segregated. Germans and Jews could not sit together and play together. Subsequently, undesirable children, Jews, the physically handicapped, gypsies, were thrown out of the school. And finally, in 1940s, they were taken to the gas chambers. Now, good German children were subjected to the process of Nazi schooling, a prolonged period of ideological training. Schools' textbooks were rewritten. Racial signs were introduced to justify Nazi ideas of race. Stereotypes about Jews were popularized even through maths classes. Children were taught to be loyal and submissive, hate Jews, and worship Hitler. Even the functions of sports were nurture a spirit of violence and aggression among children. Hitler believed that boxing could make children iron hearted, strong, and masculine. Now, youth organizations were made responsible for educating German youth in the spirit of National Socialism. 10-year-olds had to enter Jungwalk. At 14 years, all boys had to be joined Nazi youth organization, that is Hitler Youth, where they learned to worship war, glorify aggressions and violences, condemn democracy and hate Jews, communists, gypsies, and all those categorized as undesirable. After a period of rigorous ideological and physical training, they joined the labor service, usually at the age of 18. Then they had to serve in the armed forces and enter one of the Nazi organization. The Youth League of the Nazis was founded in 1922. 4 years later, it was renamed Hitler Youth. To unify the youth movement under Nazi control, all other youth organizations were systematically dissolved and finally banned. Now, what do you mean by Jungwalk? Nazi youth groups for children below 14 years of age. Now, the Nazi cult of motherhood. Children in Nazi Germany were repeatedly told that women were radically different from men. The fight for equal rights for man and woman that had become a part of democratic struggles everywhere was wrong and it would destroy society. While boys were taught to be aggressive, masculine, and steel hearted, girls were told that they had become a good mothers and rear pure blooded Aryans children. Girls had to maintain the purity of race, distance and distance themselves from Jews, look after the home and teach their children Nazi values. Now they had to be a barriers of Aryan culture and race. In 1933, Hitler said, in my state, the mother is the most important citizen. But in Nazi Germany, all mothers were not treated equally. Women who were born racially undesirable children were punished, and those who produce racially desirable children were awarded. They were given favored treatment in hospitals and were also entitled to concession in shops and on theatre tickets and railway fares. To encourage women to produce many children, honor crosses were awarded. A cross was given for 4 children, silver for 6, and a gold for 8 or more. All Aryan women who deviated from the prescribed code of conduct were publicly condemned. The severe punishments punished those who maintained contact with Jews, Poles, and Russians were paraded through the towns with shaved head, blackened face, and placards hanging around their necks announcing, I have sullied the honor of the nation. Many received jail sentences and lost civic honor as well as their husbands and families for these criminal offenses. Now, Nazi art of propaganda. Now, the Nazi regime used language and media with care and often to great effect. The terms they coined to describe their various practices are not only deceptive, they are chilling. Nazis never used the word kill or murder in their official communication. Mass killing were termed special treatment, final solution for the Jews, euthanasia for the disabled, selection and disinfection. Evacuation meant deporting peoples to gas chamber. Do you know what the gas chambers were called? They were labeled disinfection areas and looked like bathroom equipped with a fake shower hood. Now, media was carefully used to win support from the regime and popularize it, its worldview. Nazi ideas were spread through visual images and films, radio, posters, catchy slogans, and leaflets. In posters, group identified as the enemies of German were stereotyped, mocked, abused, and described as evil. Socialists and liberals were represented as a weak and degenerate. They were attacked as malicious foreign agent. Propaganda films were made to create hatred for Jews. The most infamous film was The Eternal Jew. Orthodox Jews were stereotyped and marked. They were shown with flowing beards and wearing kaftans, whereas in really really it was difficult to distinguish German Jews by their outward appearance because they were highly assimilated community. They were referred to as vermin, rats, and pets. Their movements were compared to those of rodents. Nazism worked on the minds of the people, tapped their emotions, and turned their hatred and anger at those marked as undesirable. The Nazis made equal efforts to appeal to all the different sections of the population. They sought to win their supports by suggesting that Nazi alone could solve all their problems. Thank you, students.